higher. My guess is that, I'm just guessing, half, maybe as many as 3/4 of the students are music majors, but a good number of them are not. Some of them are probably music minors, some of them are biology majors who want to sing for fun, because it makes you a round, complete person, and we're very happy to have students doing that. We have non-majors who really have every opportunity that the majors have. Here we've had non-majors win the concerto competition and get to play a solo with the orchestra. So it's entirely, it's a program that's very welcoming to non-majors. Just out of curiosity, you guys, how many of you are music majors? Are you all?
We're all music majors.
You are. Okay, well, so much for that argument.
We have a lot of non-music majors, though.
It's very likely that lobby people are music majors. All right, so you've seen Focus, and lots of the rehearsals happen on the stage. There are a couple pianos in here. You'll notice as we walk around, all the classrooms have grand pianos, and they are almost all Steinway pianos. It's an amazing thing. I went to a very big deal, very prestigious music school, and we didn't have grand pianos in every classroom. We had upright pianos in lots of our classrooms. It's a pretty amazing deal. There's also hanging out over in the corner in the brown wooden box is a harp. Apparently a really nice one. And that thing in the back is that green and sort of brown stripy thing is an instrument that our piano teacher went to Europe, heard somebody talk about this crazy thing, came back and had the people here invent, basically. It's sort of tubes, like a carillon would have, but it has a piano keyboard, and we have kind of the only one, or maybe there's one in Europe. But anyway, musicians are here. So this is Greg Granoff, our piano technician, and these are HSU tour guides who are learning more about the music department so that they're going to tell students all sorts of good things about it. So do you want to briefly tell them about pianos at HSU?
Well, we have a fleet of something like, if you include everything that's in dorm common rooms and so forth, we have about 75 pianos here. And about some 60 of them are here in the department between these two buildings. And they get a lot of upkeep. In fact, our fleet, although some of it is rather old, is kind of well known by people that come for summer workshops and stuff as being a particularly nice fleet of pianos, even though they're rather old. And I don't know what else can I say. I mean, we take very good care of them. We don't encourage people to come just bang around unless they have an idea what they're doing. So we once did hear a tour guide telling people that there are a lot of pianos in practice rooms and they could just come and like have at it. And while we certainly encourage people who want to play the piano, we don't want just anybody coming and just doing whatever they want without at least getting some briefing as to the part they can play in taking care of these instruments.
But any student, whether you're in a music class or not, can get access to the practice rooms.
Yes, that's true, yeah.
And we do have some conversation about how you're going to treat the pianos nicely before that happens. And we also do we've talked about the beginning classes. There are beginning piano classes as well. So if you've always wanted to play the piano and never had a chance, we can teach you how to do that, and then you get a key card that gives you access to.
Yeah, so it's possible for anybody to actually.
Do you have to play that piano?
Well, no, but it actually does play. It belongs to the head of the piano area, and there actually is some music written for that, but it's basically a toy. It's not really not a real instrument. Yeah.
And then otherwise, in this room, this is where we store all the other instruments that we talked about that we loan out to students. And you can see there are holes in various places that things are loaned out, and there are more rooms. There are warrens of space back in there, and that's Brian's job.
We have just about any instrument that would be used for a concert band or an orchestra. As well as a few other interesting ones, like over here we actually have, they haven't been used in a while, but we have some Renaissance instruments that people could potentially use if they wanted to learn how to use them. If you're enrolled in a music class, and you don't have an instrument yourself, you are by all means allowed to come and check out an instrument for the semester. And part of the fees for signing up for that class also pay for basic maintenance on it, so the instrument, it comes to you working, and if there's a problem, we just fix it in here. We range anywhere from beginner level instruments to intermediate to professional level ones based on your ability level and the ensemble you're playing it in. We're not going to give someone who's never played the clarinet a really nice wooden clarinet. We've got ones that are designed for student level or beginner level ones. Between Greg and myself, we keep all the instruments here in the department working and fix things as problems arise. We can also, to some degree, give some level of assistance or instruction on if you need to learn a particular technique. We've had people come in here, talk to him and me, that are music education people that are who are having issues learning an instrument, and between him and myself, we can usually help them with that to some degree.
Sometimes.
Yeah, depending on the instrument. This is where we keep the instruments that belong to the department, as well as build things that the department itself needs. Like Greg built the carillon and the virtual organ that's in the other room. We've built some very interesting contraptions that only instructors ever seem to know about.
Yes, there are some.
But yeah,
they're good problem solvers.
As well as I know that Greg also will accompany people on particular instruments. If it's a keyboard instrument, sometimes he'll accompany them for things.
Yes, very important information for your tours. Definitely, you should include the fact that Greg can play any TV theme ever on the piano. Or movie theme, you name it, he'll play it. I don't really recommend that for the tour.
Fun fact for when you have extra time.
Stop by the music shop and Greg will entertain you.
You'll hear him tuning a piano, and all of a sudden you'll hear the theme song to Bonanza.
You name it.
Yeah, classic TV. And I know that sometimes if a student has an instrument but they need something that's a little better quality for the ensemble, we will actually check that out to them. And I know that Cindy's been instrumental in several students upgrading their instruments and helps point them in the right direction.
Yeah.
When the time comes that they need something better than what, because their ability level is now beyond their instrument.
Are we actually asking about repairs here?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can, up to a certain point. If you're in an ensemble using the instrument here in the curriculum, you can get some minor repairs made. Yes.
Yeah, like
anything that requires parts and so forth, then that's
So
something
like
you
if
have to
the
arrange
valve
privately.
gets stuck on a trombone.
Oh yeah,
absolutely, sure.
Valve stuck. The pad or part like the clarinet got stuck together. The string broke on your violin, and you have the replacement, but just don't know how to put it on. By all means, we will sit here and bring it back up to playing condition. If it's an actual repair, that's something separate and can't be done by the shop here, because we only work on the university instruments as far as actually repairing them.
Okay.
But yeah, minor things,
Yeah.
definitely.
What does a Renaissance instrument look like?
Old.
Do you have like the Renaissance violin before the violin and cello?
Mandolin?
No.
No.
Well, yeah.
Like
We
that
do have a-
family?
Renaissance instruments come in families just like modern instruments, and they just, if it's a
They
brass
evolved
family, it looks a
into it.
certain way, and if it's a string instrument. We have a couple, let's see, don't we have a...
We have a few viola da gambas, and I think
yeah, we have...
Yeah.
Most of our, we have a couple wind instruments. There's a racket or two.
There's
or
a
something.
racket. There's some shawms. There's some crumhorns, which
Yeah.
they later evolved into things like the oboe and the clarinet and
Yeah,
the bassoon.
I'm just a history major, and Renaissance is like
Ah,
Well,
my
you can-
specialty.
Yeah.
Just get on the internet and look up Renaissance instruments, and you'll get the full
Yeah.
array of.
I mean,
Yeah.
the most
yeah.
common one people think about is the recorder, which is actually a Renaissance instrument. So
Yeah.
that's in many ways a good example of what they look like.
Okay.
except not plastic.
Yeah, not
And not
plastic.
green.
Yeah. Made,
Yes.
yeah.
Made of wood. Very pretty.
Actual wood. Yeah.
So here are percussion practice rooms. And you can see all the instruments are out and available. Somewhat different things in different of these modules. And this is where percussion students practice and have their lessons.
Wow. Can't really be claustrophobic.
No. No, definitely not. is the piano lab. So this is where people do the beginning piano class. And you can see that they're electronic pianos, not real pianos, which for beginning class has all sorts of great advantages. There are headphones, so you can sit there and listen to yourself and not hear everybody else, and you can practice. And there's super fancy technology so that the teacher who sits over there can tap in and hear exactly what you are doing as you're playing, or can listen to the entire class, or they can pair you up and you guys can play duets together and you can hear each other. It's pretty fancy. And there's the handy dandy, the teacher plays on that piano and notes light up on the visualizer up there on the wall so you can see which key it is that you're supposed to be doing, all very useful for beginning piano playing. When I first started teaching here, there was a lab of all upright pianos, and that was very loud. And teaching involved, sort of felt like you had shouted at the end of your hour of time, you know, this is much better for the beginning class. And then the students have get key cards and have access to practicing on real pianos, although sometimes they come in here and practice in the lab too, because obviously lots of people can practice here at the same time and not bother anyone. Music students all sort of being educated in music requires everybody plays at least a little bit of piano, and I think almost all of us wish we played more piano. I certainly do. It would be useful to be better than I am. So all music students take a certain amount of piano classes, basically 2 years worth of piano classes, and develop at least a certain fundamental skill on the piano. And just observing, there's yet another grand piano class happening at the moment. You can peek in there, all sorts of fancy computer technology being used for how they're composing. We'll look at the lab next. It's used primarily for students composing or students doing recording projects. Every now and then someone will come in here and write a paper, but mostly it's for all sorts of music projects, as you can see looking over people's shoulders. And you notice that they have the piano MIDI keyboards so that you can play music into them as one of the ways of interacting with it. We teach classes in recording technology, lots of classes in composition, classes in film scoring, which very much needs the computers to do all of that. The windows are open, so we should be moderately quiet, at least where rehearsals going on. So during all the concerts, there is at least one person up here doing recording, working lights. We do video recordings of all the concerts. Students who've taken the recording class get hired. It's a reasonably good paying job. We also pay students to be ushers and stage managers for concerts, so there's work available in the department. And we're constantly updating the fancy equipment that we have here. The lights on the stage were recently, through a the Energy Independence Fund, were replaced with LEDs that use lots less energy, which is all very exciting and good. But there are also spotlights, which are not on right now, but the spotlights burn incredible amounts of energy, so you try not to use them any more than you have to. Practice room. These are actually relatively large as practice rooms go.
Just big enough to hold piano.
Yeah, you can come in 2 at a time. That's about it. But they do pretty much. Almost all of them have pianos. They all have mirrors on the wall, which is very useful for seeing what you're doing while you're playing. And yes, I've never been in a soundproof practice room. They aren't. This is I'm sure you don't need to share this with a tour either. This is a temporary building. It was built before I was born. You notice it has the solar panels on the roof. You guys funded those solar panels, and when it came time to put them up, the student, again, it's the Energy Independence Fund, did research, where's the sunniest place on campus, which was on top of our roof, and they said, can we put them on the roof? And we said, you know, it's a temporary building. And they went and asked various people who said, oh, don't worry, it's not going away anytime soon. So, yes,
Interesting.
I fear that it will not, it will probably still be here at the end of my lifetime as well in this temporary building. But it means that they didn't do exactly maybe the world's best job with caring for, you know, fancy work in this building. But it's functional and has enough practice spaces, so we're mostly happy. Lessons are part of tuition. And this is actually probably a worthy thing to put in your tours, because that's not true at quite a lot of schools. In quite a lot of schools you have to pay extra for the lessons. Here they are part of tuition, and they're available to music majors, but they're also available to non-majors who play at that level of skill that's appropriate. And you know, people who are involved in also playing ensembles. I teach violin. You play violin in the orchestra, and you're a biology major, and you want to get better at playing violin. You also get to have lessons.
Who are the tutors and teachers?
Pretty much all of the lesson faculty, almost all of the faculty teach lessons in some areas.
Okay.
So we all have our specialized instrument or couple instruments that we teach, and then we teach some other things as well.
Okay. So you don't have any student tutors?
We have student tutors for some of the academic music classes, the music theory and music history kinds of classes, piano classes. There's often a tutor for piano class, because some people find piano to be very challenging, and some people are like, this is no problem, I can do two hands and 2 feet at the same time, and it's great. And the folks who don't like it, so there's usually a student tutor for that. And you know, we select from older, more experienced students who have done well in those classes, and although sometimes maybe you don't want the students who did the very best most easily in some of those classes, you want the ones who had to struggle a little bit, because they're better at teaching people who are struggling. People who learned it this is probably true in every subject, if you learned it really easily, sometimes you have no idea how to explain it to somebody who's having a hard time. Some of you are looking like, yes, I know this. Other questions?
How do you actually try out for those?
So the auditions tend to be pretty informal. They're at the beginning of the semester. You generally contact the conductor of the group and ask about auditions. It's that informal. They tend to happen sometime in the first week of school. The other thing that probably would be useful for telling people is that in most cases you want to go to the first rehearsal even though you haven't done the audition yet. And that's where you learn about how the auditions work. Yeah. There are a few ensembles, one of the choirs, you don't need to audition. Anybody who has no experience at all, they're happy to take you. There are a couple of relatively beginning instrumental ensembles, particularly intermediate orchestra, where you don't have to audition. If you've never played at all, it's not going to be the right class for you, but if you've played a little bit, intermediate orchestra is fine.
How do you get a permission number to get into one of the classes, like intermediate saxophone? You need a code.
Yes, because intermediate saxophone is private lessons.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you send an email to the teacher, or you go track down the teacher in her office and say, I'm interested in this, and she talks, and you guys talk, maybe you play a little bit, figure out what your skill level is, and you go from there.
Okay.
Yeah. We're all very happy to answer those kinds of questions and work with students who want to do that. Right now, because I'm department chair, my teaching is 6 violin and viola students. Of those students, my most advanced violin student is a forestry major. I have 3 music majors, a viola student who is a biology major, and I'm spacing out on who my other student is right now. Let's see, who is the other one? How am I? Oh, and the other one is a CRGS major. So, yeah, lots of room for non-majors to play. Other questions? Okay, that's way more information than you could possibly actually put in your tours. Yeah,
Unless it's a private tour with a music major,
there you go.
and those things happen.
Yeah.
Cool. And if you have those, you know, faculty are happy to meet with people and talk too. And feel free to tell people that music faculty in general are very happy to talk to interested students, that they, that people should not be afraid to look up our emails on the website and say, I'm a student who's thinking about coming to HSU and I play the saxophone and I see you're the saxophone teacher and can you tell me about saxophone at HSU? We love that. And they should be very encouraged to do that, and people will get replies. Anything else?
It was very informative.
Hopefully somewhat usefully informative.